Hello, thanks for joining me. So, I've been studying a lot of quantum field theory, and I was called the smartest person in my class at physics. And this is something that interests me, and it's something I've been thinking a lot about. And hopefully, I'm not just taking the Higgs boson being called the God particle too far. Because I just feel like I understand everything and I figured it all out. And so while I've figured it all out, I thought I would share because I don't know how long I have to live. I have cardiomyopathy. Um, my dad had died, my sister died. I have ischemic cardiomyopathy. My left anterior descending artery closed, and I have a low ejection fraction. So I don't know how long I have to live, and I thought I should get this all out while I can. And I haven't written this down. I haven't fleshed out my theories, but maybe y'all can help me flesh out my theories, because I was thinking that God is a microparticle. God must be the smallest thing in the entire universe. But at the same time, God is the entire universe. There's always a duality to everything. We know the smallest thing in the universe is 10 to the negative 23 power. And I was thinking that they keep smashing atoms together in the Large Hadron Collider and smashing protons together and trying to find new particles. They want to build a newer Hadron Collider to smash particles and continue to find new particles. These are the building blocks of the universe. And there was a thought of finding a particle with consciousness. Is there a consciousness in one of these particles where you can like actually find God? um, and if you think about, we were talking today about trees, and trees communicate to each other. They might alert each other of danger. If a section of trees starts getting cut down, the other trees might stiffen up and become more rigid. They know this. The roots will interact with each other under the surface and seemingly hold hands. So it's a network underneath of connected pathways. And to me, it's always God, always talking to itself. God is always not wanting to be alone, because in the beginning, there was some kind of loneliness, and God has to become we can disagree, we can argue, but I don't believe in a God up in the universe that looks like me. Playing less on a chessboard. I believe that we are the God. Not to say that you want to become like a destructive world leader or a good world leader or anything, but like in the sense that we all wield the energy. We can all create life. We can all destroy life. If you don't think you can destroy life, then you just uproot a plant. You know what I mean? Or make love to a woman, or make love to a man, and we can create life. So, but we're not. We can even do it in a petri dish, but we're not not to say we're omnipotent like in an Avengers movie or in a like a Zeus or something like that, but like we are made up of the fabric of the universe. It's like quantum entanglement. Like quantum entanglement. So the smallest particle, we'll come back to that in a minute. But maybe I should keep going and let my thoughts stream because this is completely unscripted. I feel like I wish I could like rewind this and like catch up to where it was because I feel like I lost my train of thought. So I'll go back to where I thought I was. In the beginning of time, there were these microparticles and they just started collecting themselves, collecting. Everything is a seed. You were a seed. You were a seed in your father's scrotum and an egg in your in your mom, and then you were a seed. You grew. You collected energy. You were collecting microparticles and you were collecting atoms and you were growing until you can think. Because I remember my first thoughts. I remember thinking, oh, I can think. And then I remember thinking, oh, yes, you can think. And I'm like, oh, I can talk to myself. And they call that like the ego and the id and the super ego. And then you have like an overrolling thing. You might have an inner discussion and then you have like an inner roller. They call it the super ego, the ego, and the id, right? And so this happens over time once you've collected enough microparticles to be able to think, because we are eukaryotes. Because in the beginning of life, there were single-celled organisms, and the single-celled organisms would multiply and become, eventually they became multi-celled organisms, and then they became like organs, and then you almost had like these things like livers floating around. None of this is, anything I say you want to cross-reference. This is all just my opinion. I'm not to say there's actual livers floating around, but kind of in some ways they were like organs, like they were like very simple. Like when the earth was a methane-based earth, the creatures on earth were very simple. It was almost just like a liver flopping around, honestly. It was like a slimy things, just writhing around, worms and kind of like our organs. But over time, they were able to like form together into more complex organisms, and which we are. We're like a multi-organism, and we all function together to have this complex function. We're like a complex functioning, because when the earth was methane based, it was more like worm type of creatures and they're like a lot of like crabs without shells. And then as the earth became more oxygen based, the life was able to become more developed, more intense, become more bipedal, able to leave the ocean. I'm not sure when the crabs grew the shells, but that ties into my theory of life and everything. So in the beginning of time, with the Big Bang, it was basically the same thing as you and I. It was microparticles collecting itself until it was able to explode and create more of itself and keep going until for 13 billion years, until we have the universe. But it's always like trying to learn. It becomes a dolphin to swim. It becomes a bird to fly. It becomes a human to make music. I believe humans are here for the things that you would expect. Nothing unexpected. Well, it is all extraordinary, but it's also concrete at the same time, always a duality. The reason we're here for the reasons that we're here, for arts and science, to study life, to do art, to do music, to live, to enjoy life, to be happy, to have fun, to do science, to view life, because God can't see without eyes. God needs to grow eyes to see, because if God's a microparticle can't see. We think that there's some kind of consciousness eventually within the microparticles, because there's a consciousness in all living things, even the roots of the trees. So now I get a little confused. Now, is a rock alive? I guess a rock would have to be alive. It has some kind of frequency. It has some kind of resonance. So I feel like God at some point made the rock and then it moved on to something else and became something else. So like maybe the first microparticles, like there's actual first microparticles somewhere way at the end of the universe. James Webb Space Telescope has seen the end of our universe, and they found galaxies that are a lot bigger than they thought. So they're like, well, what I'm going to call God, whatever, the cosmology, I call God because my religion is a mixture of, my spiritual beliefs are a mixture of science and nature combined. When the more science I learn, the more to me it explains God and how God is working, because God is everything to me, in my opinion. God doesn't care what religion you are. I guess I'm all over the place. I should, maybe this will be like a rough draft kind of thing, and I'll review it. But God doesn't care what religion you are as long as you love, because love is like protection. Then you're like safe and protected because I love you. I care about you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to harm you. You're protected. You're safe. You can be warmed. You can be kept at the temperature that's comfortable for you. You can be fed, cuddled, loved, protected. But that's not always religion. Unfortunately, religion becomes control and war and negative things. Like, because if you hit your if you hurt your arm, it hurts. If you smack your arm, it hurts, because you're not supposed to hurt. You're not supposed to hurt other people. When you hurt other people, you feel bad. Kind of God built in things, hopefully, in us, a certain kind of morality. There's a mainstream morality that you're not supposed to hurt others mentally or physically. Even Aleister Crowley, a famous Satanist, said, harm no one. The Buddhists, harm no one. Christianity is supposed to be love and charity. Unfortunately, it's not always that way, but the intention is love. So I don't want to say my religion is love, because it's also science, and I believe in the fundamentals of math and physics, because it's like George Carlin would say, the laws of physics, God has to abide by the laws of physics. So the earliest known microparticle growing the entire universe over what we know about 13.8 billion years. But what is time? What is time in space? Time doesn't really exist. It does, because, like I said in the beginning of this video, I don't know how much time I have left. I could drop dead tomorrow. That's why I wanted to get my very important opinions out there. But time is just a travel distance. So if I have to walk across the room, we know it's going to take like 3 or 4 seconds. So time is just like a measurement of distance traveled. It takes 1 year for the Earth to get to this point and then back to this point. That's 1 year of time. Well, what we're calling time. It's the distance traveled. And there's equations that show this. I'm doing this with no math and no notes. But there must be creatures out there that have different viewpoints of time. So therefore, we know for a fact already that um, that mice have different telomeres. The telomere tells a cell when to die. They want to see if they could extend life. I don't know how far that science has gone. I haven't followed it, but they already know that, like we view a fly as living one day, but to the fly, it's not one day. The fly lives an entire experience. To the fly, it lives a full life. It doesn't know it's only one day. And they were showing like our sun is kind of a smaller size sun. There was a planet that it takes 1,000 days, or it takes like, was it 1,000 days, or like 100 years is 1 year to. And I was just thinking, if 100 years is 1 year on that other, with that huge sun, then do they live 10,000 years? Like, do they live 100 years, but 100 years to them on that huge sun is like 100 years to us. So they're living like 10,000 years, but to them, that's just 100 years. So we've gone around 100 times. They've only gone around once. So they're going to go around 100 more times. And to us, to them, they're only 100 years old. To us, they're 10,000 years old. But to them, they just live 1 year. So that's why Einstein's theory of relativity, time relativity. So now, if you look at the entire universe, and if you look at the entire galaxy, the galaxy's spinning in a spiral. And I believe that there must be something out there watching it spin. It cannot possibly be spinning, because when we take a picture of it, or we even view it with a telescope in real time, it seems like it's frozen. We see it like frozen in a spiral disk, but really it must be spinning. And we're saying, oh, 13.8 billion years, 13.8 billion years. That's nothing. How many times does one cell spin per second in your finger? It's like 200 billion times a second in my finger. 200 billion rotations a second or more, something. I don't know the math. Like I said, I haven't prepared for this, but we're talking about, 13 billion years. Oh, a billion years. There's 200 billion spins a second in my finger. So maybe it's not that, like, we're frozen in time in a sense. We're like part of I don't know how to say it. We're like we're inside of it. We are quantumly entangled within the universe. We are energetic beings. We are beings made of energy traveling through like physical substrate, And the CIA did a study that our energy travels around the Earth, the Gateway Project. You could look up the Gateway Project, and part of it was saying that our energy travels around the Earth every second. And I was thinking that, like, wow, that's pretty amazing that our energy travels around. It feels great to get this out. I'm glad I'm doing this. That our energy travels around the Earth every second. And at first I was stunned by this, but the more I think about it, the more I think that, que nada, that's nothing. Because if the Earth is a magnetic field, then the birds fly south in the winter because they're in touch with the magnetic field. It's just a field that's always going. It's just there. And of course, we're going to be part of it. So of course, it only makes sense that our energy is traveling around the Earth every second. And so what you think is not meaningless, and what you do is not meaningless, because you're part of this fabric of energy. If you look at, like, imagine an onion, with like energy coming into both ends, and that onion of energy has billions of points at like an actual onion, and it's just flowing nonstop, and it's just nonstop. But that also, quantum field theory, they know that the field goes through the entire universe. So it goes back to what I was saying in the very beginning, that quantum field theory tells us that each particle is actually a field, and like there's a gravitational field, there's a particle fields, and then it's like a boson layer which kind of holds it all together like a blanket, and the dark energy is um it's funny because I was thinking, after they were talking a lot about dark energy, I was thinking that it sounds like it's almost like water, like we're all like floating in water. Space isn't actually emptiness. It's actually like we're all floating in water. And then they said, oh, well, they think dark energy might be a superfluid. And I was like, whoa, I'm on, like, it actually is like water. It's like a superfluid. It's like the space is a superfluid, and we're all floating. And so when Einstein had his theory of relativity, that gravity is like a field and we're like a ball rolling on it was kind of correct. But I don't think that he realized that that gravitational field stretches throughout the universe, which goes back to what I was saying, like the microparticle God. Imagine like a creature that's like a little microparticle, and it keeps growing itself. It's clapping and spin, clap and spin, clap and spin, 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 spin. Its first function is to spin and create friction and heat, and clap, divide. Clap meaning combine electrons. Keep clapping and spinning, clapping and spinning, clapping and spinning, dividing, dividing, creating heat, starting to create inertia, creating a wave, exploding, and then doing this over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because it wasn't the first star that formed. It exploded, and it released iron, and it released all the chemicals necessary for life were released into another star. And then that star exploded, and I believe it was like the third star which exploded to start to create like rocks. So it was like just a ball of energy. It exploded, created another ball of energy, exploded, created another ball of energy, exploded, and then started to create rocks from there. And then once rocks were starting to form, that's when like galaxies, and they think it happened pretty faster than they thought. So then it started to form rocks and galaxies, and so eventually it formed galaxies and planets, and then it just kept going, kept explode, create another one, explode another one, explode another one, on and on and on, until we have this universe in a now with the multiverse bubble theory, that the universes are all bubbles. And so this is a universe expanding, and there's multiverses with probably millions of galaxies, millions of universes. And in these millions of universes, they think only 1 in 10,000 would create life, because this process of triple sun explosions and iron creating carbon and nitrogen and helium and hydrogen, the most common building blocks of life, would only occur like 1 out of 10,000 tries out of these universes. So there's millions of universes, but only 1 in 10,000 actually created life, because it's such the odds. If you're gambling, it's like 0.001%. It's like not a good gamble. If you got the 7 in craps, you got a better chance of than God creating another universe. And so that's why I no longer believe in aliens, because if life is so rare that only 1 in 10,000 universes is going to create life, then we need to cherish our life a lot more than we do. And what this means is that the meaning of life is life. The meaning of the whole universe is just to create life. It's just the whole universe is a garden to create life. And that gravitational field stretches from the beginning of time till now. It's like a big field. The whole universe is one field. We used to not understand quantum physics. And even a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, we said an electron is appearing in two places at the same time. If you look at it over here or you observe it over here, it appears to be in, but now we know that it's actually just one, it's the same electron. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a gravitational field, and that electron is just, so it's just a field, and then it appears here, and then it appears here. So when you look over here, it kind of comes out, and when you come over here, it pops out. So it's just like, you look over here and it comes out, and you look over here and it comes out, and we're like, we were so amazed. But now it's kind of, it's really as simple as a magnet. When you hold a magnet to your computer screen and it can destroy your computer screen, pull the electrons to the magnet. You know, if you hold two magnets together, it's no different than that, because we are quantum beings. We are in the quantum field. We are energetic beings. So naturally, like, it's like if you build a keyboard, and when you look at the A lights up, and you look at the L, and the L lights up, because it just knows what you're looking at. But really, it's just the same thing. It's just popping up, it's like a blade of grass. You see this blade of grass, and then you look and you're like, it's that blade of grass. But it's the whole field is one thing, and the whole field goes throughout the entire universe. So now, getting off into like science fiction and stuff, the early man used to think that, like, when they would, at the different Stonehenges, they would like sacrifice people, and they used to say, like, it was an honor if you were sacrificed. And I don't know how true any of this is, but that like that Stonehenge is underneath Sirius X at a specific time of year. So if you die at a specific time of year, then your soul can make it to Sirius X, which is another habitable planet. And I used to think about this as completely insane, but now that we know about like field theory and stuff, and the universe being one field, then it would make sense that your soul can actually like travel the field to other, you know what I'm saying? You could ride the field through the superfluid of time, you know? Now, if you're a light being and you're made up of light, then a billion years is nothing. 13.8 billion years is nothing. There's 200 billion rotations per second in our hand. And with the universe spinning around, I imagine they said that the galaxies are like a beating heart. There's a beating heart, the galaxy's spinning, and it's like a beating heart. And recently they released the footage of the Gaia telescope, which the Gaia satellite, which has mapped, it's only like 10% of our sky, but they mapped like, without looking it up, like 300 million stars, where we used to only have like 10 million stars. Now we have seen 300 million stars, but we know there's like 1,000 million. So we know we've only looked at like 30% of our galaxy. We've only seen 30% of our galaxy. There's like 70% of our galaxy, our own galaxy, we haven't seen, which is mind blowing to me, because we can see other galaxies, but we've only seen 30% of our own galaxy. But I believe that there's a creature looking at the whole spinning galaxy like a pulsing boom, 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 boom in real time. I don't know if they're God or they're aliens or like interdimensional being, but I believe that there's other levels of life and we're only in one level. But I don't believe in UFOs because I know you've all been dying for my opinion on all of this too. I know you've been really chomping at the bit for my opinion, but this is why I don't believe in UFOs anymore. Even though I saw something, I was out in Washington State, and I was stargazing, and I was stargazing for 3 hours straight, and in about the third hour, something appeared, and it looked like a row of lights. It looked like two rows of lights on the bottom, and it went from right to left and then left to right and up. It went up and seemed to go up out of up out of the atmosphere. It went and it zipped in two straight lines. And my friend was like, he saw it too, but he didn't see it as clearly as I did. Like I saw lights on the bottom of something, actually called the MUFON network, and they told me that if it was the size of my pinky nail, then that means it was huge. It was probably the size of an Air Force tanker. And it probably moved about 3 miles. It went from right to left like 3 miles a second. He was like just guesstimating from what I told him. And then something like that, and then it went up out of the, I don't know what it was, but I don't believe in UFOs because, like I was saying, if life is only one in 10,000 universes, then what makes us think that life is so abundant on Earth, in the universe? Or like, even if life is abundant in certain ways, like, yeah, we can find iron, yeah, we can find nitrogen, yeah, we can find water, but if the Earth is 3 billion years and it took all this time to grow life on Earth, to where the earliest life, going back to my microparticle theory, the earliest life on Earth started out as like worms, and it was like, I don't want to say not australopiths, but like the cephalobites and the trilobites and like the primordial animals that were like before crabs, the pre-crabs, eventually like the trilobites. I held some of the fossils. They have the fossils down in the Pittsburgh Museum of the earliest life on Earth, the trilobites. I held the fossil in my, I don't know if I held it in my hand, if they let you, but I just looked at it. And it's like the oldest fossil on Earth of the trilobite in the basement of the Carnegie Museum. And it was like, basically it's a crab without a shell. And the way I look at it is, it's like our cousin. It's like, in a way, it looks like us. If you take away, it's like just our nervous system. But eventually the crab grew a shell, and they're one of the oldest creatures on Earth to this day is crabs. Not the crabs you get if you're promiscuous, but oh, Kevin, always cracking jokes. But the crabs learned how to grow shells, and it actually survived for 3 million years at least, or 3 billion years. And then eventually the Earth was methane gas, and then eventually all the algae and stuff in the ocean was decomposing and turning into oxygen. And once all the algae in the ocean was decomposing into oxygen, the oxygen replaced methane in the atmosphere, and methane's a much more high-powered gas. Those single-celled organisms were able to combine and to become organisms, and eventually able to crawl out of the ocean and become amphibious creatures. And you can look up the etymology and the trees of life and everything, how it branched out. It always started with one, and it branches out into several different things. But even like the fish and the reptiles all started at one thing eventually. But the point is that the oxygen from methane to oxygen environment enabled the animals to be bipedal and crawl out of the ocean. So we're like, humans are like the second or third generation of animals on Earth. We're like super powered, turbocharged animals because we think about like a methane car, like it can't go very fast. But then you think about the higher powered gas that can like power a jet at a Port Canaveral down in Florida. You know what I mean? Versus the diesel gas that dies out in your lawnmower if you leave it too long. So the process of complex life evolving, like we might be able to look out into life and find carbon and other types of life, but for it to have evolved into complex life and eukaryotic life and multi-organ organisms and bipedal with advanced thought, and let alone be able to build things. Well, but then again, otters build things and ants build things. So building things is not that unique either. So humans need to simmer themselves down a little bit. But I believe that, so like going back to quantum physics, it's all one field. And if you look over here, it appeals over here. And if you look over here, it appears over here. But it's no different than a magnet. You know, because we are energy, so it's no different than a magnet. So the whole field across the universe, we're all just like excitements in the field. If you generate excitements in the field, then it creates more like electrons and stuff. And so if you're a musician and you're playing music and then you're creating a lot of excitements in the vibrational field, then you're like generating money and income. Or if you're an artist and you're doing like entertainment, you're generating all these like excitements in the field. And that's how you're like making money and stuff. So if you want to make money in the world, all you have to do is generate excitements in the field. You know what I mean? But that's all, like, you know, and people get a little full of themselves and they feel like Kanye West, like, hey, I am God. Well, in a way, we all are. Every single person is. But he learned how to generate a lot of excitements into the field. You know what I mean? Maybe he got a little too full of himself, but any musician is just creating excitements in the field, you know? And this field stretches all across the universe. So maybe your soul can ride a gravitational field to Sirius. You know, so the earliest life was like crabs without the shells, and then they learned to grow shells, and then eventually they became like dinosaurs and reptiles. And if you think about a dinosaur, if God was a microparticle, God is actually the smallest thing in the universe. So it's trying to make itself look fearsome and scary, and really when it's really fragile and scared and lonely, but it's trying to look fearsome and scary to scare everyone away so it can just peacefully eat food. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, they think, was primarily a vegetarian, and so is like the most fearsome, scary thing that Jurassic Park can imagine. But all it wanted to do was you leave it the fuck alone so it can eat some plants, you know? And so that's what, to me, is God. God is just like this little microparticle that grows itself into a big fearsome thing so you could scare the fuck away and let me chill and eat some plants, you know? Just like the gorillas in Africa just want to fuck and eat, they just want to fuck and eat bananas, you know? They don't want any trouble. And then unfortunately man comes around slaughtering them for no reason at all. It's horrible. We should be protecting life on earth because life, to me, is God. God is life and life is God. God created everything. God is the universe. And everything is just excitements in the field. If you want to make money, make music, do art, create excitements in the field, be peaceful, be loving, protect life, don't do pain, study, do science, study life, do art, painting, create more life, have family. Don't destroy the rainforest, protect the rainforest. Don't drain the water wells. use renewable energy sources like sun, wind. You don't need to be digging into the earth and releasing like poisons into the earth. You need to think about like the fabric of life. And that's another reason why I don't believe in aliens, because we need to respect life on earth and realize that like only 1 in 10,000 universes has life, and the entire universe is just a garden to create life. The entire universe is just a garden to create life, and we are life. We are rare. We are the purpose of everything. Not just, but not just me, the cat. My cat is the purpose of everything. The dolphin is the purpose of everything. To live, to see, to breathe, to study, to not be alone, to feel warmth, to have feeling. You understand? Like, there are no secrets. It's just a big garden to create life, and we are life. We are supposed to protect life. And the reason I don't believe in aliens, it's like saying, like, you think that, like, the government, can the government hide a snake from you? Can the government hide a fish from you? Can the government, let me ask you a question, yes or no? Can the government hide fish from you? Like the fact that there's fish. Can the government hide that from you? Can the government hide the fact that there's worms? Like if it rains, can the government hide all the worms from you? No. Can the government hide blades of grass from you? Is the government protecting you from birds? Like the government doesn't want you to know there's birds. So the government's hiding birds from you. Look how serious I'm getting. The government's hiding birds from you. And you need proof of birds. Like, because on your other hand, you're saying life in the universe is abundant. The aliens have been visiting us for 10,000 years, but Joe Biden's got them in the fucking basement. You know what I mean? Come on, man. The government is not this all-powerful thing. You are the government. If you're part of the United States, I'm the government. The government is a set of rules, a piece of paper. It's like saying, I don't trust Monopoly, or I don't trust poker. Like I might not trust the players of the game, but the game itself is just a set of rules, like Dungeons and Dragons. You might not trust the dungeon master of that, of that particular literally round, or you might his dungeon master might be your best friend. You might be the DM, or maybe that's not the best game in this analogy, but like any game, checkers or chess, you might, how you, like if you're playing checkers with or chess with somebody, you might not trust the player you're playing, or but the game itself, it's just a set of rules. Like the American government has written pretty well that it's supposed to be flexible, and we can all become part of the system if we want. We can all run for office. I could run for city council. I could run for mayor. I could become a senator. I think money involves corruption, but I'm just saying that they're just people like me and you. Ouch, that hurt. Yeah, I might have God within me, but I'm also subject to the rules of nature, and not all powerful. I can create life like by having intercourse with a woman, but I can't just like create life by snapping my fingers, unless I'm the Fonz and like. But I don't think the government is hiding aliens in the basement. I don't think the government is capable of hiding life from us, or I don't think the government is nefarious that they would want to hide life from us. They're not out to, I trust the government. I think the government, what does the American government want from you? They want you to live your life, be freedom, creative, education. They want you to create technologies. They want you to create excitements in the field and generate taxes. They want you to live a long life, pay taxes a long time. They don't want anything. There's no one like trying. They want you to like be the best that you can be and contribute to society. They don't want to harm any. They're not like it's just a set of rules, you know. There's not this all powerful thing, just like there's no all powerful God in the sky playing us like a chessboard. We are life. We are everything. So we have to supposed to be protecting the rainforest, not clear cutting the rainforest, not pumping poison into the atmosphere. If we can use vehicles that don't pump poisonous gas into the atmosphere, that would be good. There's nothing bad about people are saying, "Oh, I hate this woke, this woke, this woke." There's nothing bad about being woke. There's nothing bad about not putting poison gas into the atmosphere. Like you don't want to. I don't care if you're Republican or you're Democrat or you're black or you're white. You don't want to pump poisonous gas into the atmosphere with all these like a million cars. So if you can, but also, you know, electric cars are not the best thing either. You're mining. It's getting better, I've read, but they're mining a lot of dangerous chemicals to build electric cars. So electric cars might not fully be the answer, but at least we're trying to not poison the atmosphere anymore, because we have to. What if this is the only what if this is the only planet with life in the universe? Advanced life, like oxygen, turbocharged, third generation life. Because we're only like, what, 10,000 years into humanity? The dinosaurs lived 3 million years. Who's to say that a civilization can live, I don't know, 10 million years to build a spaceship? What if we are the only life in the universe? And it took 3 billion years to grow the rainforest. Then that means you shouldn't be clear cutting the rainforest, dummy. You should be trying to find other income and other ways to make money and other ways. No one wants to take your job, but you find a different job that doesn't involve throwing poisonous gas into the atmosphere. I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. The trees hold hands under the ground. It's all the cosmic web of life. The gravitational fields stretch all throughout the universe. The universe is a bubble. There's many bubbles, many universes. What I haven't figured out is the universes must be connected. And I think the black holes are regenerating within this universe. It's all a regeneration. The black hole eventually releases a pulsar supernova, and that pulsar, it's everything that it ever knew, all the data that it ever collected. It shoots it out with one last burst, and what's it do? It bursts a new star. But that process can only go on so long. The regeneration can only go on so long. There is real death. That's why there's sadness. And there is free will. Even a particle is randomized. There's the particles are randomized. So if you send a particle down, they don't know if it's going to go up or down. It's completely random. So there's randomization built in, which I believe is like kind of like a free will. But there is like a real death, because when you strike a match and the match becomes sulfur to gas, 0.097% is retained, but 0.003% of the energy is lost. And that is death. So like when you die and you become gas, I believe the 3% that used to be you, that Kevin, Sunny hippies, then I'll go and I'll become light and energy again. But the me that was specifically me will be gone. I think maybe a lot of the data will, hopefully, I don't know if what, but also it's kind of interesting too, because if our energy is really um, being cycled around the earth like an onion at all times, once a second, then that means that it might mean that when you die, you stop feeding the energy. And so, like, I used to think, oh, when you die, that's when your energy gets deposited into the field. But that might be false because you're depositing energy into the field while you're alive. And when you die, you might stop depositing energy into the field. So what you do when you're living is it's not like, oh, you die and then you get, like, I used to think about it like when you die, your energy gets put like on a USB, and then the USB goes into the big database of life. But now the more that we know about science, it's saying that we're depositing into the energy field as we speak right now. So life is just a garden. Like the whole universe is just a garden to grow life. And I think that's what some of the quantum physicists are missing, uh, that we are the purpose. The purpose of everything is us. We are the excitements in the field that are being generated. The whole universe is trying to create iron and nitrogen and carbon, and the whole universe is a, I don't want to say a petri dish, but like a terrarium. The whole universe is stirring the chemicals of life together and trying to create life. Can't you see it when you look at the James Webb Space Telescope? And so we are the product of that, and we need to cherish life on Earth more and not think that life is abundant. If there was a UFO out in the universe and other advanced life, that other third, fourth generation life that survived millions of years in this universe and was able to like create technology and travel, then I believe they would be orbs, like robotic orbs and stuff that would get here. And like they wouldn't, like people bash on Tyson because anyone who doesn't like UFOs gets destroyed, but like Tyson's right. Like they were gonna build a ship that can traverse the universe and then crash, and then crash in New Mexico. Like I don't think so. There was actually a skyhook spy balloon. The government was working on spycraft. They're spy balloons, and they don't, like you see, like when people say balloon, you think like your little red balloon, but no, these are gigantic, like almost craft looking things with like, they're like big silver, like mylar looking, with like shafts around them, and then at the bottom they're like, there's technology on the bottom that they're carrying, and they're like sending these around the world. It's back in the 50s and 40s, and now you're seeing more balloons. China sent their balloon, and the UFO community wants to say like, oh well, they're not discussing the other balloons that they shot down. Well, the government's a little bit embarrassed that they shot down a Century 21 real estate hot air balloon, and the people are like, oh, they wasted 120. Suddenly they care about the $125,000 missile. Like that's coming out of my tax dollars. I mean, even though the government spends that much every second, you know what I mean? But like, so like they're like suddenly like, yeah, the Century 21 or what it was, I don't know if it was Century 21, but some real estate company said, well, they shot down one of our balloons. We could tell you that, but the government doesn't want to admit it, because they just figured out how to like adjust their radar to get slow moving things. So they went back 30 years and they found out there were like 4 spy balloons flying around during the Trump era that Trump never detected. So how to Biden's administration figured out how to track these balloons, and they made a few errors. It's not aliens. Yeah, I don't believe everything the government says, or see, I trust the government, but I don't trust every single person in the government. You have to like dig deeper and know, like actually know each senator and which each senator stands for. You know what I mean? Like some of the senators are like Cory Booker seems trustworthy. He's a vegan. He like actually gives a shit. You know, like Bernie Sanders actually gives a shit. AOC actually gives a shit. Mitt Romney actually gives a shit. Liz Cheney actually gives a shit. You know, they're not all dirtbags in it to scam money. You know, some of them actually do care about others. I think Biden's a pretty good man. I don't agree with half of his policy, but I think his heart is kind of in the right place. He plays to the corporations too much instead of like the little man. He's very moderate, but overall, I think he's a very nice man. You know, I'd like to shake his hand and meet him and tell him, "Hey, good job." And the wife seems very nice. I like their dog. I voted for Biden. I'll vote for him again. But he's not my first choice, not my second or third choice either. I'm registered independent. But what I'm saying is, I don't think the government is hiding aliens in the basement. I think they were hiding their spy technology that they didn't want to confess to. And people talk about David Fravor this, David Fravor that. Listen, man, David Fravor's just a captain. He's Captain Fravor. Captain Fravor. Captain's like a lower mid-level. You know, after captain, there's colonel, lieutenant, major, general. It's like private, captain. The captain's like not very high, dude. Quit saying Captain Fravor, Captain Fravor, Captain Fravor, the Top Gun private. Dude, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise saw an alien. You trust Tom Cruise when he was a Top Gun pilot maverick. The gimbal camera, the gimbal Pentagon film, it's the gimbal camera rotation that's literally testing the gimbal technology. It's named gimbal because it's testing the gimbal rotation on the camera. And just because there's a Top Gun pilot. Have you ever seen the movie Stripes? Or like How to Change Dr. Strangelove? Any of these, the parody, the military is not like, they're not fucking NASA. They're not like these geniuses. And then a captain is not a major. He's not a colonel. He's not a fucking. So the captain comes back and tells the colonel, "Hey, I saw," and the colonel laughs because the colonel knows there's spy balloons or drones, or the colonel knows exactly what it is. That's why the colonel laughs. Because the captain's like, I don't know what it was. The colonel's not allowed to tell him. But quit giving or a cop. The cop said he saw a UFO. He was a cop. So now we suddenly, like, these cops used to get drunk in Squirrel Hill and do cocaine. You know what I mean? They aren't like studying science. You know what I mean? I know cops that like beat women. They beat black people. These cops down here in Pittsburgh were talking about a lot of women deserve to get beaten. Like I'm just saying, I don't mean to get into. I'm just saying, don't trust them to like with alien life, like calculus too. So I don't give extra credit. If a cop sees a UFO or a Navy pilot sees a UFO, it's no extra credit for me. And when pressed about it, David Fravor just says, "Oh, well, it's my experience says," because yeah, something looks like it's traveling really fast. If it's coming towards you slow and you're a pilot, if you're a jet going X amount hours per hour and something's going slow and you're coming right at it, it's going to look fast and it's going to look like it's zipping past you. you know. So, and people say, "Oh, the government officially released these videos." They didn't. Someone leaked these videos back in 2014, and so the community is continually pressing them. They finally said, "Yeah, these were leaked videos." But you can literally film a bug across the street and be like, "Hey, it's an unidentified flying object." Because I don't know, Now there was an orb recently that just struck in my interest. That orb they found that they released, but also oftentimes these are cash grabs. They're like, I don't know Fitzpatrick. Maybe Fitzpatrick watching this right now. I don't know the guy, but oftentimes you got to be careful. Like the Skinwalker Ranch is a complete embarrassment. They're like studying ghosts and werewolves, for heaven's sake, and siphoning money from the government. And all these books selling book after book after book. I'm not selling any book. I don't even monetize this shit. But as soon as you go down the rabbit hole, they'll be selling you a book. That's why I hung up on the MUFON network. They were trying to sell me like books by Stephen Greer and shit, and I'm like, what? I just lost all credibility with me by trying to sell me these bullshit books. So a lot of it is a big cash grab. It's a big industry. Frankly, the government has no interest in squashing aliens. Like if they could prove or disprove it either way, the government has no interest because it's a huge industry. Like aliens, it's like seventh industry or something. The book sales and the travel conventions. It generates a lot of excitements in the field. So the government doesn't want to like no more than they want to squash Avengers, or the government doesn't want to squash anything that's like productive. So, and they don't want people chasing the actual spy technology that they're actually working on. So they would much rather have you running around at UFO conventions chasing fucking lights in the sky than talking about spy technology. Now the problem comes in, like, I don't believe in chemtrails. Um, it wouldn't. There's hundreds, thousands of pilots that would have to be involved, and they've tested barium in the soil like dozens of times. They say, "Oh, they're dropping barium from the soil, so we all become fucking lizard people or whatever it is." But you can go test barium in the soil right now. You can go test barium in the soil right now. There's none. I'll tell you already. There's none there. Please go test the barium and come back and test it from 7 different sources. Because I believe there was a professor here in Pittsburgh that did, and they found none, zero. Not to mention the 100,000 pilots that would all have to be in on it. And then if you want to say the government's high, like since Roswell, so for the last 60 years, you have hundreds of thousands of people hiding fish. Because if alien life is as common as they can't hide fish from you. So I think we need to love and cherish the life on Earth and appreciate the life on Earth that we do have, and not run around chasing, protect the rainforest. Don't run around chasing chemtrails and run around chasing aliens. We want to talk about the Bet sphere. The Bet sphere had magnetic properties, and it responded to music, and then it disappeared. Hynek stole it. Meanwhile, they make ball bearing. They make cruise liner ball bearings. They manufacture ship ball bearings a mile away. They manufacture these ball bearings a mile away. Okay. The Bet's mystery sphere is a fucking ball bearing from a ship. Sometimes they have magnetic properties. Yeah, if you blast fucking music at a fucking magnetic ball, it might fucking resonate. No shit. If Do me a favor, close your laptop, go get a marble, close your laptop and put a marble on the fucking thing. Does it just stand there, or does the marble roll around on a surface? Round things roll around on surfaces. It rolled towards me. It was from outer space. They manufacture ball bearings a mile away. It's ridiculous. These things become absolutely ridiculous. The Brazilian, there was an alien in Brazil. Those people, and then and meanwhile, it was like they figured out it was their friend that was drunk and released from prison. Like the guy was just released from fucking prison and shit, and he was fucking drunk, and they said it was like the cucumber alien and shit. And now they know it was like this their drunk friend and shit. I mean, these things end up being ridiculous, man. And I think the Egyptians were onto stuff like the way that the Sphinx points towards Aquarius right now. The Sphinx, they think it might have been built 13,000 years ago, and it was pointing towards Leo with the heart of the lion. And that one was at 0.0, and right now it's at 13,000 at Pisces. And so the Egyptians had an idea of the whole universe in the 26,000 year cycle, the astrological cycle. They had a strong, and that's why they built the pyramids, and within the pyramids there's a lot of mathematical equations hidden within. The speed of light is hidden within pi. These are the building blocks of the universe, the math that God uses, the building blocks of the universe. And we need to love and cherish the life on earth that we have and appreciate the life on earth that we have, and not clear cut the rainforest, not dump poisonous gas into the universe, not destroy animals, because every animal you kill, you're killing God. Every time you cut down a tree, you're cutting down God. I believe people should be protecting life, and within the American government, we should have environmentalism. There should be like an environmental division, that, because a lot of these corporations, they don't care, and I don't mean to they let greed blind them, and they don't care about they will even laugh at someone like me. They'll laugh at my beard, they'll laugh at the music, they'll laugh at this thing, they'll label me whatever they can. Some of it might be true, but still, we should all agree that you don't want to clear cut the rainforest, you don't want to destroy trees, you don't want to kill animals, you don't want to kill life on earth. And they let greed get in the way and profit get in the way, to where they don't think about like, oh, let's not destroy life. And so you actually need like a weirdo like me, or a beautiful human being like me, to work in these big corporations and say, well, wait a minute, this is where you don't destroy life. You need like a Lorax in every company should have a Lorax, and not the Lorax like on the payroll, but a Lorax that's like, you know, going to be like, can't be bought, you know. Like I'm passionate about the environment. I care about the rainforest. I'm not going to let you destroy the rainforest because you bought me the Mercedes. You know what I mean? I don't care. You could buy me a PlayStation 5, but if you if you destroy the rainforest, I'm gonna F you up. I'm gonna put your violations in public. Your company's gonna be fined heavily. You're gonna lose public opinion. You know, things like that. You know, we should not be using. Make sure you're using. If you use palm oil, it should be marked sustainable palm oil, so we know it was made in a Florida. You know, because you can make sustainable palm oil in Florida, and you don't want to necessarily like stop. But if it's palm oil used in Indonesia, that's destroying the rainforest. That God was growing the rainforest for 3 billion years, and you're destroying it to sell palm oil, like, or even, I don't want to single out Walt Disney, but Walt Disney was buying Southeast Asia paper pulp from the rainforest, and just to sell paper, destroying orangutan's homeland for profit. And that to me is just sad when we can have hemp in the United States and generate United States profits. And hemp paper is even stronger. It grows in 6 months. Why are you destroying old growth forest? It takes God, my goddess, the Lord, whatever you want to call it, billions of years to grow this life, and you're just destroying it for profit. Like, it's absolutely absurd. Don't sit there and claim you're about environment and life, and you don't sit there and claim you're this religious, godly person and then destroy God's life that God took to grow all this time. We should be protecting life on Earth, not destroying it. It might be abundant within this cycle, but it doesn't mean that it's like evolved so much all the time, you know? It might be rare that life has evolved this much. And there's plenty of ways we can be growing paper without taking away orangutan's homeland, you know? There's other income sources. Like, I really enjoy how the Dian Fossey Research Center has, in Africa, they really have grown the research center, and a lot of the poachers that used to kill animals are now protecting the animals. So I think that's what it's all about. The universe is one. It was grown from the smallest microparticle, but also the one love is bad. You don't want one love. You want many love. I don't mean like, I believe in love and marriage. Like, I'm monogamous. I'm a monogamous man. I just want one woman to grow a family with one woman. But like, many cultures, many ideas. You don't want to eat one food every day. You have many different foods, many cultures, many religions, you know, many colors. It doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you love and you protect life. That's the most important thing, that you don't harm life. You can't sit there and like hurt kids, or like, you can't sit there and be like a pedophile and like hurt kids and then say you're a man of God, because God doesn't want to hurt kids. God wants to like protect life. So you want to protect life and not harm people psychologically or physically. If something hurts, it hurts for a reason. That's God built in telling you, don't do that. The microparticle, it's like a throbbing nerve ending. And it's funny with the quantum physics that we think that it's so amazing that we used to think it was, so we didn't understand why an electron can appear in two places at the same time. But think about like, if you're just looking at this piece of paper, that's all you see. But then you don't realize it's a whole sheet. So like, if you're like looking down and all you see is it pops up over here like this. And then you look over here and it pops up over here like this. You look over here, it's responding to you, but it's no different than like a magnet. And it's not actually jumping. It is this whole thing. It's just popping up here. And then when you look over here, it pops up over here. And this is a field that stretches across the entire universe. And anything in it, it's just excitements in the field. And so the entire universe is like a garden to create life. The nutrients and the chemicals needed to create life. And so there's two ways of looking at it. We are either the purpose of it all, or we're just a coincidence. A coincidental, this whole universe is going, and all these chemicals are being released in a cosmological scale. The iron and the nitrogen and the carbon, and the whole universe is throwing these chemicals together, and we're just a coincidental byproduct, or we're the purpose of it all. Like, it's like if I want to have sex, just a baby is the byproduct of that. Or did I actually intend to have a baby? You know, I actually want to have a baby. So I don't. My personal belief is that it wasn't a coincidence. That the whole universe. The purpose is to create life, and the purpose of a dolphin is to swim, and the purpose of a bird is to fly, and the purpose of a human is to study science and create music and art and video games and love and manipulate colors. And I also think it's kind of funny that like that humans think that they're so smart or something. Like even if we do nuclear, there's a nuclear explosion on the sun every second, you know. So us doing a nuclear explosion, it might alert an interdimensional being. If there's an interdimensional being and we create a ripple, and then like the way that they said the aliens are turning on and off the nuclear sites, that's something that is really interesting. But it would make more sense if like a human figured it out. If like the Chinese or someone figured out how to turn on and off nuclear. If that's even true, do we even know that those stories are true? It might be like, nah, man, they never turned off a nuclear thing. That's a bunch of bullcrap. but but then it's what I'm trying to say though is it's no more amazing than kids playing in a sandbox. It's like you let your kids play in a sandbox and you go, oh wow, my kids are playing. My kids made a sandcastle, and sometimes you make an amazing sandcastle, but you're still just playing in the sandbox. So I think this is God's sandbox, you know. Even if so, we think we're amazing playing with chemicals, but we're just in the sandbox. But still, you don't want to go into the sandbox and like build a weapon and mash your sister with it, you know. You want to like go have fun and enjoy your life and laugh and sing and dance and love and respect, cherish. And just so I just think it's really amazing because when I was growing up, we didn't know. We didn't know so much, and now we know so much more. Like the whole quantum physics thing about the quantum field theory and how they think the gravitational field and all these fields are universal wide, which makes sense to me because when the microparticle was the first microparticle and it was growing, that means it's still going to this day, and that means that first microparticles are probably 13.8 billion, but 13.8, we think that that's so long, but really there's 200 billion spins per second in our fingers. So we're equating everything in our own. We're like, we have this like human view of the universe. We're like, it's 13.8, but that we're counting it by how many times we've spun around in a circle. You know what I mean? Like, or the Earth has spun around. Well, in a way, yeah. How many? Because one day, 365 times. So we're like, actually, we're counting the universe through our own eyes. So when we say, oh, the universe is 13.8 billion years, we're saying, well, because we've spun around, we went around the Earth 13.8 billion times. You see what I'm saying? The universe isn't 13.8 billion years old. The universe is whatever age it is, but we've spun around our sun 13.8 billion times. We're just measuring the distance, you know. So we think like, oh, it's so old, but we're like so human. We're like thinking about how many times our rock has spun around the sun. We're not thinking about that like light moving at speed, and there might be a creature out there like 200 billion times a second in our finger. The 13 billion years of our little fucking rock spinning around our little sun in our little galaxy. That ain't jack shit, dude. It was like really this whole life was really grown very quickly. And there might be this whole universe might be like pop, pop, pop to like a creature if you're made up of light and you're living in a time where like this you're a wave of time and we are this whole like our whole existence is just one little excitement in that and you're that thing um then 13 billion years it's like nothing, dude. Then our galaxy is pulsating like a heart. So I haven't figured it out all out, but I think that there are different levels. But I just don't think that we're being visited by aliens within our universe, and that if life is so rare, like that the whole universe is like a terrarium to create life, and we are the life that has been created, and we should protect life on Earth and not destroy everything. So, um, the gravitational field, like the with Einstein said like that we're like a ball rolling around on the field, and I always thought of it like as a blanket. But isn't that amazing if that is kind of true and there's a gravitational field, but it goes all the way across from the universe? And so it started at the very beginning, and it grew out and it grew out and it's still going. Eventually it'll stretch so thin and there is an ultimate death with the earth contracting, and it'll try to restrict and close back in on itself, but the outskirts of the universe will die forever. And so when you light a match and the sulfur turns to gas, 0.03% of it dies, so there is a permanent death. And when the earth um when the universe stretches out so fast, it gets so cold near the outsides of the universe. When it tries to restrict and come back in, some of the energy at the far ends of the universe won't be able to make it. So it's going to be lost. A lot of the energy will get recycled, but I don't know, like 0.3% of it's going to be lost. So there is a permanent death. And therefore you can't just treat life like it's abundant and always going to grow back. And you shouldn't just say like, well, humans can only destroy themselves. For one, we're a complex life form that we should cherish ourselves more seriously. We should cherish our lives more seriously, cherish our individuality more seriously. I don't mean to like Kanye West or any of these big personalities. Like, yeah, you do want to love yourself and you do want to create a lot of excitements in the field and cherish life on Earth and not think that like it's just always abundant and always going to grow back, and the humans will only destroy themselves, because we can destroy the ocean, we can destroy the rainforest, and we would end up like um Venus, with a lifeless planet that was drowned out from the too much of an atmosphere, with a lifeless planet like Mars is lifeless. So quit thinking that like life on Earth is so abundant that you can, you know, it'll always grow back. It might not. You can destroy the Earth so it would permanently die. That's why you have to protect the Earth. You have to protect the ocean. You have just no more than you want to like. You don't want to chop your finger off. You don't want to chop off the tree. You can grow trees in specific areas for paper and products. You don't need to destroy old growth rainforest. You don't need to destroy animals in the ocean. There's other ways to like harvest the same types of things. Was I just reading that the horseshoe crab, they're taking the dyes out of the horseshoe crabs, and they're killing horseshoe crabs by the millions. These horseshoe crabs have been on the earth the entire time. They think the oldest, like I was saying, that the crabs are the oldest animals on the earth, and people are just taking them and killing them and taking the dyes out of them. When you can make the dye in the laboratory, okay, it's not as good, but um, it's like the healing. They have these healing these healing mechanisms in the horseshoe crabs that are really amazing, and um, but people don't want like synthetic blue. They want like the real thing, so they're destroying the horseshoe crabs. And I'm here to say, quit destroying the fucking horseshoe crabs. Quit like thinking that life on earth is so abundant that you can kill it all. I mean, once you have enough to eat, you shouldn't be uh trying to feed, what are you collecting your money for? It's all going to go into the sun. We're all just excitements in the field trying to dance together. Quit trying to accumulate everything. It was never yours to own. You know what I mean? So anyway, I feel like hey Abby, I feel like I figured all the secrets to the universe out. And it's all just a big terrarium to create life. And we're supposed to love and generate art, study science, and not destroy. We're all just excitements in the field. I remember I saw a movie once. The guy talked for like an hour and a half in the movie, and I was like, "Wow, how did he talk like that?" And then here I just improvised for 90 minutes. But I really wanted to get that all out of my chest. I think God is the smallest thing in the universe that created the entire universe. And that's why he looked like a fearsome dinosaur, but really he was just a peaceful creature that wanted to eat plants. And God was the trilobite, the horseshoe crab before it grew the shell, and then it grew a shell and learned how to survive. And just like a dinosaur came along and destroyed the an asteroid came along and destroyed the dinosaurs, and so we being God, life on earth, has figured that the next life on earth after the dinosaurs is figuring out how to deflect asteroids. We all watched the NASA send the missile to the asteroid and try to deflect that asteroid. It's just like the trilobite growing a shell and turning into the horseshoe crab, the humans growing missiles to deflect asteroids. But the dinosaurs lived like 350 million years, and we're only going like, what is it, like 20,000 years or something? So we've got a long, long way to go to compete with the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs, as primitive as they were more successful than us, because the reason that we are in danger because we're destroying the rainforest, and we're destroying the uh, coral reefs, and we're at the same time that we're destroying the coral reefs and we're destroying the rainforest, we're pumping poisonous gas into the atmosphere. So therefore, we might not live as long as the dinosaurs. And not to mention the beautiful life that we're destroying, like the diversity of life, the cool shit, like the fun, cool shit that we could be studying. I worked for Bayer Pharmaceutical Company. They said they don't want to destroy the rainforest. They want to protect the rainforest because there's a lot of cool shit. There's a lot of medicine that we can harvest from the rainforest that will be life changing, and then you can make money off of protecting the rainforest. So there's a lot of cool shit, not to mention just living life and breathing and like not to mention just sustaining life on Earth, not to mention just breathing air. But there's a lot of cool shit in the rainforest, so you don't want to just destroy it. It's really, really sad. And if it makes you cry when you watch the rainforest getting destroyed because you're God, you're part of God. God cries when you're destroying part of its own life, you know. So wake up, people. You are quantum entanglement. We are part of life. We are the purpose of everything. It's not meaningless. Nothing. Everything you do has meaning. You are part of the energy of life. You are part of the onion. Quit thinking your negative thoughts. Quit hating on other people. Quit being racist. Quit destroying the earth. There's lots of jobs. There's lots of excitements in the field you can create that have income. That I'm not just talking about entertainment industry, but there's lots of renewable energy jobs that are being created. That you don't have to clear cut rainforest anymore. You can work on they're trying to, I saw in they're building windmills in Georgia and Tennessee along the highway because there's all these roads where they clear cut they cut lines of trees down, and so they started thinking, well, we could put windmills down here, and this would we could power the whole state with windmills along this highway. And so you see, you know, Republicans getting on board with windmill technology. And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you care about the rainforest. We don't want to destroy the rainforest and destroy our earth, our, you know. And so within any corporation, they should have like a guy like me who's a Lorax and going to say, hey, wait a minute. Hey, I want to make money too. I like money. I like going, spending money. I like vacations. I like doing things with money. I like working and creating things. But what I don't like is destroying animals and destroying life and hurting others, you know? So I just think it's really fascinating how we used to think we didn't understand the quantum mechanics, but it's no different than a magnet because we are energy. We are part of the magnetic field, so it makes sense when you. It's just like if you look over here, this pops out. If you look over here, this pops out. Because it's quantum entanglement. It's no different than a magnet, and that field stretches all throughout the universe. It's a big terrain. It's growing life on Earth, which we should protect and do art and science, not fight. It doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you love, you know. And that the Egyptians used to think that they worship cats, and we didn't understand that, but like because like my God is my cat, because quantum entanglement tells us that this is a quantum being and the quantum field stretches throughout the universe. Whatever microparticle through the universe is also inside of my cat. And so I feel like I'm judged by how well I treat my cat. I'm not judged by like whether I utter this phrase, like I have to say like these specific words. What does God care about like specific words? Because everything goes into the sun at the end. So why would God care about any specific words? The only thing God cares about is love and action. And this is love and action, loving the cat. When this cat passes away, its memory of me, my being, Kevin, is going to be that of love and affection. And so this is my religion, you know. Some people maybe they pray to a God every day. I pet my cat every day because to me this is life. God is life. God is everything, everything you think. Are there interdimensional dimensional beings here with us? I don't know, maybe. But I don't think UFOs are visiting the Earth. I think that we need to cherish life on Earth more, read more. I'd like to run the news on my channel here. I make tie-dyes, I do music, I play video games, I've been doing some sports, and I'd like to start doing news. But I want to say that I do trust the news, and I respect journalists. I respect. I watch Ari Melber. I like Rachel Maddow. I watch CNN. I like CBS, ABC. They all do really wonderful work, but I think I also can do a good job of doing some news. I do respect those journalists. They put their lives on the line. Velshi, during the Black Lives Matter protest, he was out on the front lines getting pelted with pepper spray with the protesters, and interviewing the protesters. And I really give him a lot of credit for that. A lot of these people, they're trained journalists that spend their lives, working hard to but I'd like to read the news and offer my opinions for fun. I think you should get your news not from Facebook, not from YouTube, um, but from actual news. Read the New York Times, read the Washington Post, watch CNN, watch MSNBC. Fox News is just a Republican info channel, but maybe Fox News will become journalists one day. For now, they're an infomercial for Republicans. Granted, the other stations are liberal, but at least they offer opinion. You should be able to tell opinion from fact. If I tell you there's a tornado coming down the street, then by all means take the precautions. But if I tell you, hey, vote for this frog, then that's an opinion that you have. Hey, I love this frog. This frog is the best. That's my opinion. But if I say, hey, it's raining outside, so you have to learn to separate news from opinion. And I don't know that much about quantum mechanics and quantum field theory. I'm just a guy who took some physics in college, and I watched all the Royal Institute videos on YouTube. But I recommend, if you're interested in quantum physics and quantum entanglement, you don't listen to me about it, but you go to college and study from professors. And anything on YouTube is going to be like a watered down Cliff Notes version. When you go to college, you're reading textbook upon textbook upon textbook and really studying the minutia. And I respect the college institutions. Not all of it. If some of it's bullshit, like Yale and Harvard. I'm not saying it's bullshit, but the Ivy League tags and some of the fraternity bullshit that goes along. That's a distraction. The main thing is studying the textbooks and the science and stuff. So anyway, I think it's really fascinating how fast stuff has come along with the quantum field theory, and how it's just a field that stretches across the universe. And that goes right along into the lines of what I was already thinking, with God being a microparticle, which was like a consciousness behind the Big Bang. It wanted to think and spin and not be alone and create warmth. So it started to turn inside of itself until it was able to duplicate and then replicate and then spin and clap and then eventually grow the whole universe. And now to this day, we know that there's magnetic energy that stretches across the whole universe, and it's floating in a superfluid. So space is not space, but it's actually a superfluid, from which magnetic fields and other types of electromagnetic fields, gravitational fields, all flow through the superfluid of life, all to create. It's all a garden to create all the chemicals and nutrients of life. And either we're just a coincidental byproduct, or we're actually the purpose of this. And only 1 in 10,000 universes are going to create life. So it's unlikely that there are aliens, because we're the 3rd generation of humans on oxygen. We're on a 2nd level of gas, so we've survived this long. There's no telling that that's going to happen. So if life is only 1 in 10,000 universes, then it's highly unlikely that there's more than us. We might be one of the most intelligent species in the universe, which I know it's kind of sad, but we're also beautiful and amazing. So we should cherish life, respect the rainforest, and keep studying arts and sciences and keep spreading love, not war. I love you and have a great day. And also, I don't know, I was wanted to add, I have a thing down there about lamictal and bipolar disorder. And I did quit taking my medication a while ago, and it is kind of the hard way when you have to battle, life. So I really recommend people trust their doctors and listen to their doctors, and stay in therapy, study your ambitions, stay in college. I recommend therapy, exercise, um, career, and protecting life as much as possible. Hey, thanks for watching. Love y'all.